Let us know in the chat who you want to see qualifying in these last two matches. One game down has already set the stage for the leaderboard. We predicted the cutoff should be around 88 points for top 15, which is about 30 points, let's say, every game to be safe. So if you're able to be consistent, Jacob, you don't really have to do too great in the late game. You just have to make it there.
Yep, around that top 10, top 15, you get a good portion of the points, but most of them are inside of that top 8. And another contested battle right out of the gate, something that we saw, and it was the Thunderbolt of Zeus that really played the difference in this fight, and especially with how early you're able to get it before the team can kind of mount up some sort of a defense or even an offense. You can strike while the iron's hot, and already 7-4s are just quick to the punch. They have the shields, and they're already moving over to take this fight while they can.
Great use of efficient looting here. Already have the advantage in this engagement that hasn't even started yet, just by the amount of shield they have and loot, which is from winning that drop originally. So now, even though they don't have a lot of materials, it's time, the 2v2. Be careful though, as Akira and his duo partner are full on shield, and Forzit has just gone in alone, fully eliminated. But the Chains of Hades, can they get the job done? No, they cannot. Both players drop to 50 HP. But Akira,
that's so unfortunate. That is so unfortunate. They had such a good position on the high ground. Don't really know why you would even drop down there, especially knowing your teammate. Yes, he has the Chain of Hades, but he doesn't have any variation of the shotgun. But one fight to the next scroll, once again going down, but Sky saving the day. Sky is putting in so much work in this fight, but from POI to POI, spot across the map, Amos and Theon, they get revenge for game 1.
Yeah. They did not come on top in game 1, but now they have a chance to make something happen in game 2. I don't want to speak too soon, though. As a potential third party, they were looking at the feed. They said, hold on. The Mount Olympus engagement has not ended yet. Let's go see what's up. See if there's any opportunity to make something happen here, but Stillian knows now. They're forced to heal up quickly here as Conan and Colossus are going to look for some options.
Yeah, they hear the heals coming out. They know the fight was ended, so they're hoping their opponents are weak enough that they can take advantage. And they're doing it piece by piece. They're not dropping just in like we've seen in one of the fights early on today. Just quick angle coming through, not a ton of damage, but it's something to give them a little bit of confidence and a little bit of a lead. Amo just trying to get that cheeky little angle. Conan just had enough. He's ready to go on in, but bites off just a little bit more than he could chew. Quickly gets on out, and this is where it gets a little bit of like a chess match. Piece for piece, move for move, until your opponent makes a mistake.
They're doing a good job holding their ground here. Stillian and Amo. But do they want to fully commit to this engagement? I mean, they don't have a lot of materials. They've already gotten 2 elims. Colossus, though, is going to go up top, see if he can find an angle here. Some sort of cheeky shot to initiate the aggression. You can hear the footsteps close by, but so far no openings.
And this is what we talk about when Mount Olympus being contested, overly contested. Fights kind of get drawn out, take a while. Other teams begin to move in, but I feel like that's just any POI, any position that has a lot of players landing around towards the outskirts. And since there's so many buildings, so many different levels of Mount Olympus, you can see why it takes as long as it is. Nobody wants to get overzealous, drop into a box, unprepared. Especially when a team like this has already positioned themselves. They've already fought a fight. They have most of those pieces under their control already.
So many builds have been used for this engagement. Making good use of the environment, though, to refarm up while the waiting game continues. Meanwhile, back to Akira, who just got into an engagement at his drop spot. They did end up getting 2 eliminations, though, so now Adrix and Amos are looking to see if they can be the next ones to face off against them, but as Adrix's duo partner gets tagged and gets cracked, it's going to make it much more difficult.
Yeah, just trying to peek through any one of these angles, even going through some of the builds. Flowberry Fizz, fight for the high ground is going to begin. Kira and his duo just quickly are able to cement their position up there, trying to drop down, attack from different angles. Almost needs a little help. He needs his duo to alleviate some of this pressure. They finally reunite, and that's when the splashes are coming down, but they're not giving them enough time to fully heal up. They're consistently pressuring, and that could be the shot right there. Great shot by Adrix to back down his opponent. And the couple of seconds that they've been able to get is crucial seconds for them to be able to heal up like this.
2 players have been cracked now. They do have the Flowberry Fizz to recuperate that shield that was lost, and even Bananas to tank the storm. Now that damage has been done by both teams, they're going to choose to leave this duel and continue with their rotate towards zone. They don't want to let it tick anymore. They need to spend time now as well recuperating all the materials that they've just used in this. With both teams having done a bit of damage, it wasn't necessarily a loss for either duo.
Back on over to the other side of the map. I like how we can see one side of the map all the way towards Brawler's Battlegrounds. We go directly over to Grim Gate, and you're seeing how action-packed it is from corner to corner. And it's Cheatin and Kiruo who actually find themselves in possession of the valuable Grim Gate loot. They have the Mythic Gatekeeper, and obviously the Dash Coin that everybody's talking about this season. It's about being able to put it to use. Unlike the counterparts on NA, I feel like in EU, there's been no one that can consistently make it out with his Grim Gates and win games on a consistent basis due to how aggressive some of the players on EU are.
Yeah, Levin was talking about it. I mean, it's quite difficult when you're that contested, especially with veterans of the EU competitive scene. Ooh. If you're able to consistently get the medallion, it can be incredibly powerful. And did we just see someone get knocked out by the Thunderbolt of Zeus? I believe we saw a Nox player get fully eliminated as Walks now connects the initial shot but gets cracked. As this is anybody's game.
Yeah, that's a good way to kind of fire back when he's just trying to break into the box, but a huge health disadvantage. He has no choice but continue to fall down, which might be a blessing in disguise. Vin and his duo quickly rotating over in this position. It's all a matter of do they know it's 2 different solos, or do they think it's a full duo here trying to stay alive? And this is where they're going to be on the chase. They know exactly where Wax is moving around it on the low ground. They just don't know where that other solo actually is positioned at because Wax is taking a lot of the focus.
They were looking from afar previously. I think this is the duo that threw that Thunderbolt of Zeus, so I think they should know that at least one player has been eliminated, so it's most likely not a duo. It's probably 2 solos is what's on their mind, which is why they do have the option to play a bit more aggressive here. And so far, with only one of them in sight, it is just the 2v1, but you got to be careful. If you're not able to connect your shots, the tables could turn quickly, but last shot gets hit, and elimination now on the board.
Yeah, without seeing that second solo, even hearing that player kind of move around, you see that he's able to disengage for free. One team's curse is another team's blessing. They're able to get out alive. Some of these teams that are going down very, very early here are leaving it into the last and final game to try to get top 15, which almost puts them in a win and you're in situation yet again as X-Squeeze, Buzz, still floating around fencing fields. Not too much for them to worry about without teams really getting aggressive at that point in time.
Marius Sangil now up against Diox and Cade. This is going to be an interesting fight with so many duos too in the area and Zone having pulled far now, which just makes it that much more stressful. There's only 2 games left to play out now as well. The nerves might start getting to some of these duos, some of these players, especially if they end up going down early. Cade, Diox, 8 points on the board. Still a long ways to go to be in qualifying range. They cannot afford getting eliminated here.
Yeah, while they're having that battle down below, you see one team on the outskirts watching it, 2 other teams looking like they're moving towards the bunker, and then it looks like a solo, possibly another duo towards the southeast portion. So a lot of attention being put on this side of the map to where you have to be very, very careful. And you almost got to assume, because it is close to the bunker, that other third parties are going to try to let the position not be known. As Marius Sangil looking confident for a moment, but Diox does a great job of continuously creating separation between him and his opponents. And the thing is, right now, Cade's doing a good job of firing back, and Cade and Diox are just so separated that Marius and Sangil could just pick one and go, and they have good chance of at least getting one out of the 2 knocks.
The more time they spend, though, the more potential for third parties come through, and even the zone being so far, the more difficult it's going to be to rotate. But Marius and Sangil doing a good job of controlling this engagement, applying constant pressure and doing good damage, forcing Cade and Diox to get a bit nervous here, as a full box might have just come through. Gets the double at 88, but it's not enough. Marius goes down. Diox now with the knock. It's changed to a 2 versus 1. Sangild is put into a tough position.
And as soon as he goes down, you see the mini-map. The players just immediately beeline it in that direction, which allows for Sangil to get out because they have now been distracted. Only question is if he was actually able to get the reboot card, or does he have to backtrack into that position? One important fight that's congested with multiple teams to another as they're fighting for the forecast tower. While all these bunkers are open up all around them, they're just trying to see zone after zone so they could try to make the perfect plan in terms of rotations all the way to the end game.
Kira's in a wood box here, which is a little scary with players close by. All it takes is one double pickaxe. But they know that. They can hear their opponents, and it looks like they're hungry as well. They know some sort of fight might break out here, but Akira has to work on the awareness. Got shot from the back. Now is going to be forced to recuperate a bit of shield here. Has not got cracked, though, so their opponents don't know yet that they might be a little low.
Yeah, it's, even when they're trying to use that focus that duo is going under to their advantage, they immediately try to drop down and then get focused themselves. It's kind of the name of the game. When you're making so much noise, finding a prolonged fight, other teams begin to take note of that. It does look like they were able to steal away that actual forecast tower. And that kind of leaves you two options. You let the team rotate away. You can kind of follow them in their footsteps knowing they have the forecast tower, or you just get a straight up elimination and take the forecast tower out of the equation altogether.
Clownski and Axe Force now. Close to Grand Glacier, trying to decide. You know, should we go up to that ridge? Is someone already there? I don't see any builds. I think it's safe. Where do we want to position ourselves to get a bit of damage as he finds a nice shot? Once again, making use of the DMR, which has been incredibly popular in these lobbies to get your Storm Surge damage.
Which is a huge change from like seasons past. You know, from hit scan to projectile, DMR becoming more and more of a focal point, a part of the loot and the strategy for a lot of these teams. As Clownski Axe Force, we're trying to climb up the mountain, take some position high above, but they get overtaken by a whole nother team. And this is the team that we saw go down. Van already got the reboot onto his teammate at least once, just north of this current position. So you got to imagine down on Surge, not necessarily the best loot split between the two teams. It might feel like they might not have too many other choices other than to focus the one that is closest to him.
Taking pop shots from above. They're not playing too close here, which makes me think that they do not want to risk anything. Just taking shots from afar, trying to get that position claimed. They don't need any eliminations. They just want that angle on the players rotating through to take those shots from afar. Trulex and Chicho, though, we talked about it, Jacob. This is a duo that we both want to see qualify. Flowberry Fizz, Chug Splashes in hand, now recuperating those materials on their rotate. Waterbending Mythic, though, is going to be applying a bit of pressure onto them. 13th place is where they're currently at with 38 points. We said an average of 30 points each game should be enough to qualify. So far after the first match, they are en route to be one of the top 15 duos that qualify to grand finals. But can they keep that momentum going, Jacob? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, if that doesn't fuel you as Chicho, knowing your teammate basically got 11th place, 2 elims, almost half of the points to qualify, I don't know what will. Jakey and Twy high above Rift Island. Nobody's meeting them just yet. So that's going to give them a huge advantage to look around the map, and it's an advantage that they need. They are 5 below the damage threshold. And I can imagine they're going to continuously fall if they don't find the opportunities that they're looking for. But the Thunderbolt of Zeus coming out, combined with the DMR, they're trying to shoot some shots through. The Thunderbolt of Zeus doing some damage to get them 100 over the threshold. And this is the outside of the box thinking that we're seeing teams do this season.
102 above. You love to see it. With the Rift Island just half the way in zone, there's not too many duos up here, or even in the surrounding area. A lot of them have already rotated. Nice shot by Jakey, though, connecting. Still has more shots on that Thunderbolt of Zeus. We'll see how they make use of it.
There's always something new every single game. Seeing Trulex and Chicho tearing down Sky bases from across the map. Now we're seeing Thunderbolts coming out of Rift Island. Sweet and Smokey are going to have to start being a little bit proactive. Center zone, but 48 below the damage threshold. The few teams that they have their eyes on right now are safely boxed up, not really wanting to make too many peeks themselves. So Wheat and Smokey are going to have to figure out something here because they only have so many heals before they're down to none and still suffering the surge.
It's one of the scary parts of kind of being so centered. Is a lot of the duos around you probably have enough damage, which is why they're so deep in zone, versus the ones that are on the edge of the zone that have been constantly staggering themselves and fighting to get those tags. They're looking at the edge, but not too many duos in sight. You said it yourself, the ones that are in sight are already boxed up. And they really need to make something happen here. I mean, they've only got a Flowberry left. Wheat, I don't know what Shimoki has. Dropped some minis, but this is getting pretty bad.
Yeah, and I feel like this is the earliest that we've seen Surge pop on almost all day long. And typically, I'd say Zone 4 is when it started before. It goes down to 74, but this is Zone 5 now. We need to go down to 60 players if you're going to feel any bit of safety. And Smokey just taking the sacrifice. Shield's getting dropped off, but now he falls below Surge yet again. Even if you're above, if you're only above by mere inches, it's going to turn into a nightmare. 155 below. They almost got sent back to start. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Nothing. Smokey and Wheat are going to have to figure it out from scratch.
They were feeling so good for a second after that DMR shot. Said, okay, 60 above. Boom, 160 below instantly. You can see how quickly they're forced to make a decision now. They literally have to push a duo here. It's going to be Scroll and Sky. That's going to be on the other end of that fight.
This is game 2, and Marius just down on Surge yet again. I don't know where the switch up happening from having these phenomenal games to just hitting like a speed bump in the road. But I feel like if anybody can do it and make something of a game like this, it's going to be Marius, but he's 56 below the damage threshold. Also taking damage to Surge. The banana is popped. It's going to allow him a few more seconds to be able to stay alive. And it's here. It's all or nothing. Risen Squee, he's able to get in, get a couple of shots, but he got eaten alive by the last game winners.
Care package. Dropped off. Wheat Shimoki still below now, in much worse of a situation than just a few seconds ago. One tick away from Shimoki being eliminated. There it is. Wheat now following behind shortly if he's unable to make something happen. Scroll and Sky, though, they're healthy. 107 above. Diox Cade close by.
It's just unfortunate. They were trying to be proactive. They were trying to look for the surge. Just nothing was working out for them. Scroll and Sky, 164 above before it turns off. So at least have some sort of a marker of where they currently stand in the world of Storm Surge. But immediately, as soon as it turns off, they lose over 100 Surge, but they waste no time picking up a couple more shots and elimination to find themselves in a much better spot.
This is huge, actually. 5 eliminations in 6 zone is a great way to start off your second match, but you got to be careful after getting sniped. 40 HP. I'm a bit nervous. They're just popping minis here. One snipe, one headshot from the DMR could instantly knock down Scroll here. As one shot to the body connects. Almost cracked once again. 43 effective HP and shield. You're gonna have to overbuild here, Scroll. It's not worth it.
I've never been more scared for somebody. Just one DMR shot will take down Scroll, and you kind of add in the fact that zone's pushing him in, shots are coming in from different directions, HP going out the window. Depending on what Sky has, they might even be a chance to regenerate some of that HP because he's fresh out himself. He's just trying to find a spot safe in the zone for now, but it doesn't look like that's a possibility. So many players making this a focal point, trying to take him down, but he finally reunites with Scroll and finds one. He finds a gift towards the backside of the zone, which is a refresh on loot, but does not find the HP that they need.
Scroll gets knocked as well. Not choosing to build a wall for him, as he doesn't have time to get the revive. The pressure keeps coming, but it looks like hopefully maybe the pressure will slow down. But with Storm Surge being active, now 49 players had stopped it, but the damage has already been done.
Yeah, you're seeing a bunch of solos in this position alone with Sky, with Cade. If Tidy doesn't have his teammates still left alive, he's down low by himself. So already, before placement points have even begun to set in, there's about 4 solos running around. which isn't much, but you know, in a lobby full of full duos, full hungry duos to make a grand finals like this, that's not a position you want to be in. But with Trulex giving solos hope in that last game, anything is possible for Sky.
The rotate continues. Sky at 60 points in theory in terms of consistency. He's done a good job for game 1 and 2 here already, but every point matters. Still has a decent amount of builds to work with. Maybe just enough to make it to zone, but with the amount of shots that are coming through, the materials are going down extremely quickly. Robin close by, completely cracked. 1 shot away from getting eliminated as well, as Sky now dropped to 5 shield. Just 46 total effective HP and shield as the mini gets popped.
Yeah, it's just a tough spot to be in, especially with so many teams. The ones that even just damaged you at that, still rotating parallel. Sky's just trying to recycle the builds, go through almost unnoticed, but he sees players all around him at any corner, and he's on the most stacked side of zone, but quickly finds a good shot. Not sure he was able to actually clean up the elimination, but he went in for the loot regardless before finally going down himself.
Haris and Skari from 2 below to getting a nice knock, bringing them more than 100 above from both eliminations there. Great way to pick some up from afar. Now the duos that have made it here to zone have overcome the most difficult part of Storm Surge, but what do they have left over after it is the question. Are they still healthy? Have they used all their shields, almost all the materials? It's going to be the deciding factor on how their next rotates are going to go.
Yeah, and there's still about 4 players that will need to go down in this next zone when Storm Surge reactivates. Then after that, it's another 10 players. So even though you feel safe, Storm Surge turns off. Zone moving in. It's never over until it's over, as Cheatin and Kuduo with the Grim Gate loot still finding a way to go through almost unnoticed. Until then, Cheatin gets most of his shields drained right off, down to just the minis. 106 damage above the threshold as well. And this is where it's scary. All that work you put fighting Grim Gates just to get it this far, and now you're almost forced into a situation where you need an impact frag to keep your game going.
Almost made it. A lot of the duos are going to be on the east side of zone here. You can see so many people struggling, having to refarm anything they possibly can. Just 10 builds for Cheated. Kiddo most likely shortly behind. You know, though, the players are going to be coming in later behind them. They're kind of keeping awareness on check here, seeing if there's going to be any openings for some shots. Chicho Trulex, though. 2 medkits, not too much juice left in the flow barrier as they quickly go for a wall replace. It's a pre-edit. No luck, though.
And I like how they quickly just rein themselves back, not getting too greedy in some of these situations before peeking back through. They hear some of the shots being fired off from down below, and they even see the flowberry fizz that lets them know that that player down low is pretty weak. But you see them making the decision with the zone about to move. They're just going to focus on their rotation instead of just putting it all on the line for that one solo.
Do they have enough materials to maintain height? Really depends if zone keeps pulling far or if it decides to pull back. Jake Buka, Cringe inside of the zone, but they've been caught. Not enough pressure to get them eliminated, but Cheatin and Kidduo now forced into a box fight. It's a 2v2. You have to connect your shots here. That's a huge one on the knock. Now hopefully they can recuperate a bit of mats, but you got to be careful. Cheating gets knocked down. Kidduo left alone.
That's Chicho on the other side. They probably saw the coin get dashed around, and they want to go in for that loot. Unfortunate enough, Cheatin with the quick pass on over to Kidduo before going down, saves it. Keeps it under their control, but Robbab with a late high ground retake, trying to solidify it for themselves, and it does look like that one's going to come to fruition. Robbab and Fastroki are the new leaders of that high ground.
44 points. They didn't have a great start in the first match. Now looking to recuperate that. They just have to maintain to their position. Kidduo trying to get ahead once again. He has those dashes, but now with 0 materials, not a lot of HP or shield to work with. Just letting the clock tick and the placement points rack.
Yeah, the only thing he really has going for him right now is Storm Surge no longer in the rest of this game. So doesn't have to work, doesn't have to peek, fight for Surge against all these other teams that are sliding down the mountain. Wrong box, brother. But he takes the big hit from the Storm Surge. He's just down to 2 HP. Shots coming in from above. But that elimination was huge because it got him the materials to build this box.
4 extra points. Now, like you said, just 3 more builds to work with after this box has been made. Gotta take a quick peek. Not enough damage for a crack. Now pressure's on to Kidduo. Forced to go ahead. He has a bush he can hide in, but he's gonna force to just try and survive as long as possible. He does choose to sit in the bush. How long, though, before Duo walks in?
Just like Trulex in this last game, these are big solo points. And speak of the man himself, Kiduo goes over the top to try to take him down, but they return the favor. And now the coin has been passed on over to Chicho and Trulex, who's trying to heal to the backside of the zone, giving them at least a fighting chance. But hopefully they don't look up, because they're going to see the titans of this lobby. Robbab still on above, putting that pressure down. Akira trying to move through, finds a flank onto Finn. Elimination is all but handled as he finally escapes at the tail end of that one.
Chicho has gone down. Akira, though, continuing strong. Just 2 builds, though. He's going to be forced to find an elimination here as he looks for an angle. Connects the shot. Has to pick up the materials, though. Pressure's coming down from above. Dropped to 8 HP. Fastroki has dropped now. They've maintained height in these last moving zones, but they have to close it out now.
Yeah, if they close it out, this is picture perfect for them. The spray coming down from above. He's finally dropped down to join his teammate. Elimination is going to be cleaned up. Fastroki with those newly found builds immediately separates himself and everybody else that's on the low ground. 2v2 situation, and we're moving up a mountain ridge.
The 2v2. The pressure is on. High versus low. Who's going to be able to connect their shots as Fastroki is out of materials. Both players now taking shots back and forth. One crack comes through. Another one from Robbab. They have the HP advantage. They just cannot miss any more shots, though. Fastroki goes down and Robbab finishes both players off and secures the win.
You know what? The secret tool for that one, Robbab brought his protractor. He was checking every single angle because he had at least 3 or 4 different ones in that last fight, making sure, I know you might go down, Fastroki, but I will be there to avenge you, win the game, and all but qualify to the grand finals with 1 game left.
Not missing a single shot. Elim after Elim doing a great job of holding height in those final zones and playing aggressive at the right moment to close it out. That's a good way to secure your spot in the grand finals.
Yeah, you saw Fastroki just spraying down, getting his opponents weak. He drops down, and these are different angles, in zone, out of zone. Robbab is just the man. 5 eliminations simply by himself. Him and Fastroki have to be feeling on top of the world after that one.